Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
And do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hi, folks. I'm MJ. I host the World of Conscious Positive Thinking, where we take old belief patterns and we flip them into the most conscious, positive ways that we can go to have balance, peace, and harmony in our life. So what are you doing with those old belief patterns and the old belief systems that you really don't believe in anymore, but you're told to do it? We're going to flip them right here on the World of Conscious Positive Thinking, right here on our beautiful mbradio.us. Good morning. Happy Monday morning to everybody out there. Welcome to the World of Conscious Positive Thinking right here on mbradio.us, where veterans always get to have a voice. So here on Conscious Positive Thinking, we like to take things that ornate into our emotional centers that we can flip those patterns of old beliefs that are no longer of importance to us. And today, oh why moon is what it is here. We're going to discuss our moon, and we're going to discuss why sometimes people's energies, emotions, or thought processes change with their circadian rhythms and their circulunar rhythms and their spiritual archetypes. Things like this play a major part of our moon. People go, no, that's crazy, but it does. I swear it does. So today on August the 28th, beautiful Monday morning, we're going to break all of this down, and we're going to figure out exactly why things happen, for what reason that they happen, and then we're going to go through, the whole gamut. So why does our emotions change with moon energy? Now, we all know there's 4 moon energies. We have a full moon. We have a waning moon, W-A-N-I-N-G. And we have a new moon, and we have a waxing moon. So when we get all these energies together with the constellational energies and our sun pulls, and then let's not forget our earth in its dynamic in itself is electromagnetic energy. So it shifts and it pulls, right? So, man, we are just full of pulling from every nucleus and nuclei out there. And when that happens, it affects us. But you can always protect yourself, and you can always have the heads up of, hey, I know this energy. And then we can come right back into fruition of why we are what we are and why our emotions change with the moon's energy, because both of our bodies and our moon are energetically and physically connected in more ways than you can imagine. What we're going to do is we are going to go into the dynamics of all of these. And when we go into the dynamics of all of these, we're going to do water and lunar pull. We're going to do the circadian and surlunar rhythms. We're also going to discuss a couple of more things in there. And then we're going to do our symbolic and archetype influences. We're going to do our astrological connections. And then finally, we're going to end up with energetic sensitivities and how we can protect ourselves from the moon energies or become aware of these moon's energies and how they make us feel, so we can heal that pattern, or we can understand that emotion that is being brought up into an existence, right? You might see some of my posts because I truly believe in moon phases and moon cycles. I mean, babies aren't born normally unless there's 9.2 moon cycles. Did you know that? 10-week gestation, but within 9.2 moon cycles, that baby of full term will be born. There's not really a lot of scientific studies about that, but it's all in what you believe, right? Your folklore, your old belief systems, your old patterns. And just by midwifing and folklore, you count your moons. Even the Indians would count their moons to when it was D-Day, right? So even the native culture plays into a major effect into all of these different patterns. Now, before we start, because we just told you what this is going to be, I want to start out with Dave Bray and his Star Spangled Banner, because we are on our military station. So we are going to get a little patriotic, a little hip hype, and then we're going to dig, and we're going to start with our water and lunar. But first, let's hear from our Dave Bray and our Star Spangled Banner. Let's get some beautiful vibes of our America. America needs our patriotism and our pledgings. So let's go ahead and do that. And then when we come back, we'll get right into it, right into the moons and why, oh, why moon?
Can you see by the dawn Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight to remain the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save. It's land of the brave, the US of A. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free, and the home of the
Woo! Well, good morning, Dave Bray. What a way to bring us in there. Wow, I just love it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So we're talking about why moons make us feel cranky, irritable, giddy, happy, flaunting, validating, inspiring. This is what we're going to do. Yes, major circadian rhythms on this one. So where do we stand? This is where we stand. The number one thing that remember that list I gave you before? Number one was water and lunar pull. And then we had circadian and cirlunar rhythms, which we'll get into them. Then we have the next one, which is symbolic and archetype. And then we have the astrological signs. And then we have just energetic sensitivity. So we're going to start with water and lunar pull. Yes, if you don't know out there, the moon influences tides on our Earth through gravitational pull. Since our human body, this beautiful thing, is made up of 70% water, many traditions and some scientific studies of the circadian and lunar rhythms suggest that our emotional states, our sleep patterns, and energy levels are subtly affected by lunar phases. The moon's influence on water is just one of those most direct and observable, easy data scientifically connecting between the Earth and our cosmos that is scientifically proven. There's no hogwash. It is proven without a doubt that our waters are fluent with the moon. The moon's gravity pulls on our Earth oceans, creating what we call tidal bulges. Some people call them tidal surges. It's not really a surge. It's actually bulging. But when the moon is directly overhead, right? So what's opposite of the Earth, our water rises, and we call that the high tides. And they're obviously to be seen. But when we get into the 90-degree angle, as the moon turns away and our sun and our Earth are all rotating on its axis, when it becomes that 90-degree angle, we end up with, you got it, low tide, because we're pulling away from the moon, right? So it's leaving that a 90-degree angle. This cycle happens every 12 hours and 25 minutes as our Earth rotates, which is why we can't really set a clock, right? Because then it would be over the 24 hours. Oh, I know. I hear somebody out there, MJ, time doesn't exist. MJ, I know. I hear some of my beautiful people going, but MJ, the Earth we're moving faster. We're losing less time. And in our days now, and what they're saying on some theoretical science majors and physics majors are like, wait a minute. Because of the axis and how our new axis is actually tilting, and causing waters and explosion. Look at the circle of fire, right? The volcanoes are all being active. Why? Because our Earth is literally tilting more and more to, at one point, at some time, our whole Earth, and it's proven by the laws of all of our Earths and all the science, our Earth's axis will end up tipping upside down. So the moon plays a very good energetic force, as well as the sun, as well as our galaxies, as well as a whole bunch of other things. But as far as our earth tipping and our moons, this is why it's 12 hours and 25 minutes. We always have these tidal flows. So new moons and full moons, so you can understand, it'd be like the sun, the earth, and then the moon. They all align, stronger gravitational pull, where you have your springer tides, your highest of highs and your lowest of lows. When that direct accessy happens, they're major tides, right, coming through. But our quarter moons, when this happens, so you have the sun, and then you have the moon, not the earth. And then you have that, it's that right angle form, because the earth is going to be on that right angle leverage. Then we have a weaker pull, which we have the neap tides. Okay. They're more of a balanced tide. So how and within our body, you might know these tides, right? And you're like, but MJ, that's not our body. That's waters. Yeah. But even fresh water and groundwater have that effect as well. That we mostly notice the tides in oceans and our subtle lunar effects ripple into our lakes, our streams, our creeks, even our underground aquifers feel that absorptional pull. Imagine if you're in a drought, okay? And you get out of your well, right? The well water, the aquifers, and they say, be careful, be careful. You're on water restrictions. Be careful. You're on this. Well, some water restrictions happen following these moon phases, because as the water gets pulled to one, to a side to create that high tide, low tide, understand a well in our aquifer also would have that same course. So if it's on a plateau or equal side where we're kind of breathing easy, we call those the waning and waxing moons, right? Because you get out of the full moon, you're like, wah! And then you have a week to breathe, and then you come into the new moon and you're probably energetic again, or you're manifesting again, or you're in that good space. And then you come into the wave of the following week, which is that wave leading right up into that full moon again. This is the same thing that happens in our aquifers. They sink and they go lower. Our blood, they sink and they go lower. It is all a pull because we are part of the electromagnetic system that converts into our Milky Way, our galaxy, our universe, our suns, our moons, us, and the earth. We all align together. It's like a big magnet. So yes, even your aquifers, some studies show that even the groundwater levels and the plants sap, like a tree sap, like your maple syrups and stuff, they follow lunar rhythms. They're flows. I know, mind blowing. You're like, who would have thought? I don't know who would have thought, but that's where it is. So now we get into the human, the biological waters, and our bodies. As I said in the beginning, we are made up of 70% of water. Well, we're not like oceans. For the research purposes, they suggest that our lunar phases may influence in our stuff, our sleep patterns, our hormonal cycles, and our emotional state of being, our minds, right? Partly, though, through water receptivity to energy and rhythm, right? Because we're 70% water. So our water flows in the patterns of the energetical wave. So the electromagnetics will pull us one way or another, either north, south, east, west, however it is, it's going to pull. And we're going to feel it. So when that happens, many spiritual traditions view water as the conductor of energy and emotion. So think holy waters, baptisms, ritual baths, those types of things. Okay. When I tell you about spiritual traditions, because these items, they know that during the full or new moon, the water is believed to hold a higher charge or a higher frequency that is stronger than normal. And so that's why, if you check it out, most of your beautiful priests, monks, pastorals, they always randomly pick a date by a highly charged water source moon. Conscious? Unconsciously? I'll leave you to figure that out. But in biblical times and in longer times, they always did these bathing rituals in oceans, creeks, streams, waters. So they knew their footing so that, they didn't see the footings. And it's easier for people to get into the waters instead of having the high, 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 or you don't have to go out so far, or the low, low, low. You already know where you're walking. Anyway, think about that. Think about, does your place of religional practice, if you have one, or your belief system, follow that moon chart? If they are, maybe they were with the archaeologies and the astronomers depicting of how Father, Mother, God creates the Arcadian rhythms within us. Boy, that's deep. I know, that's really deep. Anyhow, the moon, being the ruler of all of our tides, is seen as the ruler of our inner emotional tides as well. Just as sea swells and recedes, and so do our feelings. We come and go with our feelings, and sometimes they say, our feelings will pass in time, and give it some time, because the avoidance of seeing the energies or having within the energies, it subtly slows down not to have anger. Processing those emotions constantly has that. You hear me joke on the other 52 episodes about moons and cycles of moons. And I always say, if you don't believe me, go into an emergency room and ask any doctor or nurse, or ask any paramedic, EMT, or firefighter who are a police officer, because they always say that, in general, the crazies are out. And that is a slang, I understand, but it's also a way of saying, we have no idea what crazy means until we actually get inside of that vessel. And then we may get crazy ourselves, right? Who knows? But I can tell you, moons play an important factor of water. So think of that pregnancy at 9.2 moon phases with all the amniotic fluid too. Whew, that's so deep. That's a different show. Anyhow, so now we're going to go to the number 2. The number 2 is our circadian and our circulunar rhythms. Now, these are our biological rhythms within our bodies, our vessels. They just don't follow the sun, like the day and night cycle, but they also respond to the moon's 29.5 day cycle. 29.5 day cycle, moon cycle, 29.5. I keep repeating that. Why, MJ? Why do you keep repeating that? Because I don't think a lot of people realize how many cycles within the moon and the timing. Something to watch. Studies show our sleep qualities, our melatonin production, again, fluids, right? The moon can fluctuate near the full moon, and it can fluctuate near the new moon. So I'm going to have to take a break, because I already see we're going to get really in depth here. And after we take a break, we're going to keep going into the circadians, because the circadian kind of gets long and I have a little visual. So let's just take the break now. That way, when we come back, we can just dive right on into that. So the next song that we're going to play is Tyree Woods, and it's called Monday. So you're listening to MJ with the World of Conscious Positive Thinking here at mbradio.us. It's a beautiful Monday morning, August the 28th. And so we're going to play Monday by Tyree Woods.
I laid down on Sunday, dreading the morning to be dreading my life. I'm so tired of the paper chase, tired of the average pace, tired of the lies. When I woke up, the sirens went just as the ceiling fell. They stayed just in time. Make my way into the streets. No one was watching me. They ran for their lives. just a Monday for me. Who would have thought it'd be the end of the world? Just a Monday for me. Who would have thought it'd be the end of the world? Just a Monday for me. Who would have thought it'd be the end of the world? Just a Monday for me. Who would have thought it'd be the end of the world? Just a Monday for me. Who would have thought it'd be the end of the world? I'll be waiting in the morning light. I'll be waiting in the morning light. The sun comes up, it's gonna be alright. I'll be waiting in the morning light. I'll be waiting in the morning light. I'll be waiting in the morning light. The sun comes up, it'll be alright. I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting. It's just a Monday for me. Who would have thought it'd be the end of the world?
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at mbradio.com.
Beautiful Monday. Oh, we got to get that out of there for right now. Okay. Beautiful Monday morning. Thank you again, Tyree Woods, for that beautiful song called Monday. Guys, go sponsor these beautiful veteran voices who are just giving you their songs of how they perceive life and how they got through some things, and it's inspirational. As always, songs always resonate, whether it be the words, whether it be the intonations, whether it be melody, somehow or another, it's going to play that effect within us, just like our beautiful moon. And now we're going to talk about our circadian rhythms. So circadian rhythm is your body's internal 24-hour clock that regulates physical, mental, and emotional processes. Circadian comes from Latin, circa meaning about, right? And then diem meaning of the day. So it is about the day. That's what circadian rhythm means. It's about the day of the physical human. It is a built-in timer that cycles within us roughly every 24 hours. It's controlled by little tiny parts of our brain. So yes, circadian rhythms all format in this beautiful, beautiful computer. This is our man-made computer, and it was made there. And it is part of our suprachiasmatic nucleus. Woo, don't ask me to say that again. We just call it the SCN of the brain. And it's located in the hypothalamus area. What it does control is it controls your sleep and wake cycle when you feel tired or alert. Look how time change makes your body feel. Just doing fall back and fall aheads, right? Those daylight saving times. Look how just that 1 hour affects your sleep, affects your focus, it affects a lot until, what do you say? Oh, my body just has to get used to it. We have to just become aware of it. We have to just, just allow our body naturally to wake up. Well, basically what the body is doing, it becomes circumvented of daylight nighttime hours, not by time clock. It's about how the brain is feeling. So if you've conditioned your brain to, at night you fall asleep, during the day you wake up. Now when you have those exuberant long days, I mean, I was up at 4:15, 4:30 almost every day because the sun was breaking in. And I felt that change. I felt that physical change through the window where I was sleeping. I would feel it. Now, yes, you can get sunblock, sunshades, tricking that mind. Yes, I know they're out there, but I just really love organic light, and it keeps my body on focus. So as we led up to the equinox, right? The summer solstice, boy, that was the longest day of the year, right? I was up at 4:10 and it didn't even get dark until 10:30. Talk about playing with our mind. But man, when it did get dark, it was like bonsai night is over. No, nothing to help sleep aid there. It was over. And so then we had like a few months of this, right? We had in June, because we were leading up to it. And then we had July, and as it's slowly coming back down into our fall equinox, we're like, woo. Okay, so now it's getting dark at what, 8:30, 8:45, and we don't get light now until 5 something. So your body, who is habitual to light and dark, right? I'm waking up, I'm going to sleep. Natural, I'm feeling this way. This is what this is trying to tell you. Your sleep and wake cycle, when you feel tired versus how you feel alert. Most people do not feel alert when it's dark out. They feel either in a Zen mode, they feel in a bringing it down kind of mode, or they're wrapping up their day as soon as dusk's hit. And so your hormones get affected with the circadian rhythm, because now the hormones like melatonin for sleep or your cortisol for your energy, one is spiking to sleep and the other one's laying down, right? Because it's like it's time for us to rejuvenate ourselves. It's time to rejuvenate our thought processes, our brain cells. And this is how the circadian rhythm keeps us just in this constant infinite flow of how our body can react, our physiological. That's why sleep deprivation is not good. In most people, that sleep deprivation is majorly affected, right? And if you stop it now, not something that can be controlled. Remember, I told you this is a control mechanism. Look at the people in Alaska. They either have all daylight every single day, or they're in total darkness every single day. Can you imagine the circadian rhythms in Alaska to live there, or into the Antarctic, which is the same way? So when one is dark all day, the other side is light all day. And then as we rotate around the sun and the earth rotates and tilts its axis, then we have that difference. It's the same way within Ecuador. So when you have everybody at the equator, you're supposed to have a balance of 12 and 12. But the problem is there's a lot of chaos within those meters. Think about the southern states closest to the equator, right? Where South America's, or in Europe, where do those land around the equator? And now that our axes are tilted even more, they're not getting the same 12 and 12. It's impossible, because the axes now have really twisted. So this is causing disruption. It's causing our hormones to flare up. It's causing even body temperatures. They rise when we awake, but they lower when we sleep, right? Why is that? Well, that's part of the moon processes, right? We have to go down into this moon processes. So the moon gives you enough energy in order for your body to work physiologically and physically with the moon cycle. Digestion and metabolism, when your body processes the food best, right? When are those? Well, your body will digest when you are up and active with a higher energy boost power than it is laying on a full belly when you go to bed at night. Full belly's going to bed at night, and the moon's energy is like, you're not listening to circadian rhythm. So what happens? Now you start getting sugar dreams. We call them sugar dreams, not so much downloads, that you wake up going, that didn't make any sense at all. I mean, what the hell? Or you or you get some type of bizarre, because these are what I call them, and some people in my area, we call them sugar dreams, right? Because you have infiltrated the circadian rhythms of the body, right? So it's like drinking alcohol. When you drink alcohol, it explodes in another different type of emotion. And so your cortex frontal lobes that are actually trying to render, politeness and kindness and all these other things sometimes leave the door, or vice versa. Some people come out of that shell of being that hard, stipulating whatever, and they show the love kind of pattern. However your body works is how that's going to work. Does that make sense? Okay. So then we have the mood and the cognitive functions, which focuses the peaks and our dips throughout our day. But when we get tired during the day because our circadian rhythms aren't correct, it's time to readjust, right? It's kind of like having, when you fly, right? You have that, what do they call that? I'll get it. Lapse, or, you have that time when you fly, you have jet lag, right? Because you're moving into different time zones, you're moving into different facets that your circadian rhythm that is constantly on the norm, keeping us on a norm, is now no longer normal. You threw a hiccup on it. So now it's going to take the body to react to the degree of sun of where you are in the planet, wherever you travel to, right? So you have different degrees of longitude and latitude pulling from the sun and the moon. Where is your circadian rhythm is going, hey man, hey, right? You need to give me a minute. That's why a lot of people try to set the pace of their own circadian rhythms. They'll try to force themselves to sleep, taking some sleep aid when they have a longer jet going into Europe or going in. They have these longer 6 to 8 hours. So a lot of people will sleep to try to get ahead of the circadian rhythm for the energy side of it. Does it work? I don't know. Everybody's different. But you have a way of working around certain aspects of the beautiful moon, stars, sun. We are going to feel it. It's how well do you want to feel it, right? So with the circadian rhythm, how it responds, it's mostly like to light and darkness. Morning tells our brain, hey, wake up, make energy, make our hormones, make our things. We need to wake up. We need these things. And then the darkness signals, wind down, release melatonin, sleep, so that when you wake up, all these things are renewed, like we talked about. If you travel across time zones, or you work your night shifts, or you have a lot of screens on at night, your TV screens, or that, you have to have a sleep light. These all affect you. I'm not kidding. They all affect your circadian rhythms. They disrupt it. It causes jet lag, insomnia, mood swings. Like, these are the things it causes. Have you ever heard somebody go, no, I just need total darkness, just blank it out? Because when you're in total darkness and you're blanking it out, you are saying, refurbish, renew, revamp, restructure, time to reset, right? We reset our computers when they're on too long. So why wouldn't we reset this beautiful, beautiful computer here, this beautiful computer that we call our heart? Why wouldn't we reset those? This is how you reset those. So when that happens, you know how to reset, right? Sleep it more. Insomnia. Stay awake until the appropriate hours, so your circadian rhythm can say, no, here we are. Look, it's day. We're going to be awake. Look, it's night. Now we're going to be asleep. Now, if you're going to go to Alaska or Antarctica where they have abundance, all day long, that is really something you're going to have to be extremely healthy and conscious. Get your sleep mask, because when you put your sleep mask on, it is voiding out any light source to trick the circadian rhythm. Subtle little ways, but we can all fall back. Yes, your circadian rhythm sometimes will not make you feel very good either. They kind of are squishing up, bad places. But anyway, relations to now the moon and the emotions. Your circadian is a 24-hour daily rhythm, where your circa luna is 29.5. There's that number again. 29.5 day rhythm, which it's all based. Both affect energy and emotions. And you have a solar day clock and you have a lunar emotional tide clock running together. So this is how your circa lunar and your circadian all work together. One is a day, one is rhythmic. It happens. It's going to happen, right? Repetitive, repeating, like children. No. You sound like a broken record. You're repeating. Why? Because you're conditioning the brain by man's standards. That's all it is. God made your circadian and your circalunar energies and your circadian energies, because it affects how you're going to be productive in the world. Man steps in and man decides, no, that's not true. We're going to have night shifts. We're going to have swing shifts. We're going to have morning shifts, right? So now man steps in, throws off the kilter of the circadian rhythms and our cirlunars and our circadian levels. And we're like, whoa, wait. That's when people become lethargic. This is when people become too much to handle of society. Anxiety levels, stress levels, right? Depressional levels. Why? Because they don't follow a schedule by divine order, right? Divine order, sun, moon, earth, divine order. This is how your body's going to react. When man takes it without those, then that's when it happens. How come everything bad happens at night? Because they know that the circadian rhythm needs to go to sleep. So while the majority is sleeping, we get away with these criminal activities, or we get away with stupid things that are not being put together a process because of the brain fog at night, because of the sleepiness, because of us being rejuvenated, right? Everything happens at night. There's always a reason for the season, right? Always. So the circalunar rhythm is our body's biological rhythm that follows the moon cycles every 29.5 days. We just talked about it. So you have day clocks, night clocks. So when we talk about the circalunar, then circa means about, lunar means the moon. So just like circadian is about a day, this is cirlunar is about a moon or about a month. Get that? Woo! It's the lunar, it's the inner rhythms, I believe, the inner rhythms that syncs with all of our lunar phases, no matter if you're waxing, gibbon, weaning, full, new, it all shows up. It all does. So in nature, when we talk about that, there's many animals, fish, crab, turtles. They mate, they migrate, or they spawn within these moon cycles. It's always around the moon cycles. Why? Because animals, unlike man, they've never taken the Father, Mother, God process of how their physiology and their physical body works with unifying nature. They're all within one. Unlike man, who decides, no, we have to have these things, because man thinks they overpower the natural resources of Father, Mother, God. It is what it is. I can't, don't hit the messenger. So anyway, corals, natural corals in the ocean, they release eggs during full moons. Predators and prey adjust activity according to moonlight. When there's a high moon, means that we can still see. They don't have lights and electricities and all this stuff in the woods. So you can see that. You can see they have only opportunities to eat or to stalk for their food and gather their food during these hours. So they take full recognition of that big full moon. If nobody saw this big, super gigantic sturgeon full moon that we just had a week ago, with all the other things, just look up. There's, I have to proclaim I made Ozzy's light things. Look up, right? That is his photography workshops, because there's so much happening upstairs that it is the brain is like, oh my gosh, there is just so much, especially when somebody else starts pointing it out. So your astronomers and your astrologers, they're like, whoa, the energy, right? They have to keep it within. So corals, another part of the world, corals are a live organism, and they actually release or spawn their eggs during the full moon. Predators, they adjust. In humans, humans in the feminine, we have menstrual cycles. Even men have menses. I hate to tell you that, men, but you do. You still have your cycles as well, and they're 28 days, closely matching the lunar rhythm. Most people will argue that as well. They'll be like, no, I'm 29, I'm 30 days, which then makes sense of, mensing your menses, right? So they always say when women get together, they all kind of collaborate and have the same thing, but men do too. Because remember, a man has both qualities of male and female. Same as women, we both have male and female. One has a higher estrogen level, one has a higher testosterone level. These levels are liquid form, which causes the circadian rhythm to adapt to that liquid form. Sleep patterns. These sleep patterns are filled with melatonin, serotonin, dopamine. These are our sleep pattern levels. And so these sleep patterns, they can always shift either way. And when you actually do the studies, how many people had sleep apnea or RLS, where you had to put all the electrodes on your head and have these studies done? So the studies have shown that some people sleep less or more restless around the full moon. Why? Because the moon is so bright, especially if you don't have shades on your windows, right? Those blocking out. I'm up every full moon. I am up like clockwork, and I think I love it because I hear the coyotes. I hear a lot of animal noises going on, and that appeases my soul. And so it's like, oh, I'll sleep in the day. But it does, there you go again, circadian rhythms. So not being on a watch to have to do everything, or a clockwork, then you have to schedule your times appropriately. Yes, moods and emotions often rise and fall in wave connecting to the lunar phases. If you're getting pushed, look at solar flares. There's another one, right? Our sun right now is really pushing solar flares. Our earth is really pushing lava out from everywhere. What is happening? These are the cycles. We all are. Remember, earth is like let's think about earth as human. We have to go through cycles. We go through cycles. So why wouldn't that go through cycles if you think about it? And these cycles are really maintained. Spiritual and energetic view of the circadians, the moon rules our emotions, our intuitiveness, and our subconscious in astrologies. So when we talk about astrologies and we talk about birth charts and we talk about all these other things, this is how the energies of these, remember, stars are suns. Our sun is a star. When you look at what was the one here, the heart of Scorpion, and the Antares, right? That is 3 times the size of the sun. It's getting ready to explode. So keep looking up at that. Always follow the heart of Scorpion. And it's called the Antares, Antares. And you can see it. It just blinks. It blinks red and white like a heart. And it pulses like a heart. So cool. And it's done by the same thing. It is done by the rhythms throughout the moons that govern it and the energies of the sun. These all rotate and they revolve. So that solar system, every star you see is part of a different galaxy or solar system, especially those that are bigger than our sun. Can you imagine what those look like when you can to the naked eye see our Milky Way galaxy passing through with its nebulas? Can you just imagine how big and explosive that must look? And it will explode. And Taurus is the scientist says anytime now it's ready to explode to create a beautiful new nebula and lose its star formation. So keep looking up. Yes, so that is where we're at. The circulunar rhythms reflect our inner tides, affecting creativity, our dreams, not sugar dreams, our natural dreams, our downloads, and our energetic sensitivities. It matters because it needs to be in tune to circular rhythms. And if you follow it and why it matters and you start becoming attuned with it, then you can plan for the energy and assist your circadian and circulunar rhythms during new moons, waxing moons, full moons, waning moons. Basically, your circulunar rhythm equals your moon clock. How much you need to sleep and how much your body needs to resource itself. Running alongside your circadian, which is your daily rhythm of light, and infradian, longer cycle rhythms. Now, infradian rhythms, that's one people probably don't really hear too much. These are the border, not the border, they're the broader category encompassing any biological rhythms that last longer than a 24-hour period. Examples include the human menstrual cycle, which is a monthly infradian rhythm. It also is circle annual rhythms, which is why we have yearly periods like hibernation in bears, right? We do, even some people hibernate in the winters, or some people hibernate in the summers. If you're from Florida, you kind of hibernate because it's too damn hot to do anything. And up here, they hibernate because it's too damn cold to do anything. So these are the hibernation periods of humans and animals. Okay, we need to take a break because when we come back, I'm going to put all of these circadian lunars, circadian rhythms, our circadian adrians. I'm going to put them up. I'm going to put a little post. It was actually what came up, but we need to take a break because it's going to go. The next song we're going to play, you know it, my boy Crow. But this is when he was with Third Class. It's called Into the Light. I'm MJ with the World of Conscious Positive Thinking here on mbradio.us. And it's such a pleasure to be here. So stay tuned. I'll be right back.
And I'm guessing that I'll never know until I walk into the light.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at nbradio.com.
Okay, welcome back. It's not hidden. It's pure fact. I absolutely love Crow. I love his way where he twists things into positivity or understanding that. That's so me. Can't wait to interview him. Joel Hunt and Papa Crow. We got to get it together. Okay, so we're talking about circalunar, circadian, circadrian. We're talking about all of these energies. In essence, where our circalunar rhymes and rhythms are a subset or a specific exchange of infradenian rhythms, meaning all circalunar rhythms are infradenian rhythms, but not all infradenian rhythms are circalunar. Woo! That's a lot. There's a lot of circa going on. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna add this to the stage. So a lot of people ask me, how you combat things or how it is. So your ultradian rhythm, it ends up being a 90 to 120 minute pulse. It means focus, your attention, your hunger waves, your moon connections on mini tides. When is it best to work, rest in 90-minute blocks and shield 2-minute breath resets? That's when you have the ultradian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is your 24-hour clock. Your sleep, your awake, your hormones, your energy. Your moon connections are the sun-moon balance. So when your sun and your moons are all balanced, your circadians are doing well. It's best with circadian rhythms to have morning light, nighttime wind down. Keep that going. It's like a clock, right? Follow your sleep patterns, especially if you have young kids. These sleep patterns have to revolve around those clocks. By shielding, you have night rituals, you journal, you tea, your bath to help you bring the body down at night, okay? That is helping the circadian rhythm. Now you have infradenian rhythm, which is every 28 to 30 days. That's that longer period, right? Your menstruals, your lunar cycles, your hibernations, these types of flows. And at that, then you will have your moon concentrations are your new to waxing moons or your full to waning moons. Remember, I always say in between your new and full, you always have that 1 week and you're like, you get to breathe a little bit and things start to quiet down from the full moon or manifesting. You start coming out of that high energetic, happy, I want this. And then it comes right back into this other moon. That's what this is talking about. Okay. Your best is when you align with your lunar phases to keep your infradenian rhythm going. Sleep and awake during your moons. And that is the only thing that's going to keep this inactive. Your shield is always going to be flow with the phases. Don't resist them. If you feel an energetic of emotion or an energetic of communications or an energy that has an event, maybe traumatic, here you go. The PTSD folks out there. If you have PTSD because of a traumatic event, you will let's try that 5 times. It will most happen during the peak time that event took place. So if you had a TBI or you were in something that caused trauma, major event trauma, which is what you can't get over, that's why you have the PTSD. Look at those moon phases and interact with that moon phase. Feel that that phasing. What was that energy at that time? This is just another way. Some people say, MJ, you're hukatui. Well, you believe what you want. However, most people with PTSD, again, only have a psychological approach, not a metaphysical psychology approach, right? So metaphysical and physical must work together. Circadian rhythms work with both. The moon accesses the left and the right brain at the same time. So why would we, in our physical man setting, not choose metaphysical, physical boundaries for help? Not saying get rid of your psychologist or your psychiatrist right now. I'm telling you, maybe pick up something that's not a psychology field, but more balanced into energetic rhythms, more balanced into why the frequency of this vibration is affecting you to have these episodes. Yes, there are some moons that we call super moons are stronger than regular full lunar moons. That is another one. The super moon plays major tidal effects. Could happen to have that tidal bulge or surge happen twice as bad as an original full moon. So these are affected. So how do we flow it together? So our ultra DM is our microcycles. These are our inner tides. The circadian is our solar day clock. It's a light dark time that we have to take presence. Our infradenian is our moon, our month clock. It's our emotional clocks to make sure they are all in rhythm. And then we have our balance, which equals our emotional flows and not to crash. So if this is how we actually can arrange ourselves for these adrenian, circadians, all of these areas where it can help us move forward. So do yourself a favor, because I'm going to pull it down. So if you want, take a screenshot of this, because this will be a reminder in your phone, or if you're listening on the TV, get your phone and take a picture. These are a beautiful reminder how you can set and reset your circadian rhythms in your body to make you feel better, to help you to be more productive, or to help you know how your sleep patterns are going to arrive. People who have insomnia, which one of these are not in balance? Are you doing too much? Are you putting more on your plate, right? I understand time is of essence and we're losing time, and I get that. However, we only are human. You can only do X amount of work before the mind separates itself. Yes, there is superhumans, and yes, everything is plausible. And yes, you have big, beautiful, brilliant genius brains and bilateral genius brains. And you do have those people out there, and that's great. But for the average man, follow the chart. And then you don't have to worry about all these other little hiccups and other little things. So you got it. I'm going to take this down. Okay, here we go. So now we're going to move on. The next one is symbolic and archetypical influences. MJ, that's a big word. I know. That's a big word on a Monday. But these are across our cultures. The moon represents emotions, intuition, and our subconscious thought processes. So often linked to divine feminine, some call this the Shakti energy. So during especially a full moon, right? This is heightened like no tomorrow. And we're going to get into that. But that's why they call it the Shakti energy, because the Shakti energy comes from the root and it works its way up like a knife, cutting everything in its path and not giving a hoo-hoo-ha about the emotional outcome. That's the Shakti energy. But when the moon waxes and wanes, many people unconsciously then get to sink into their modes, their energy, and be creative. We just talked about this. That week in between these, there's always 2 weeks between the full and new moon. So you have that 1 week of just kind of like, oh my God, that's done. And then you hear that next wave, right? And then you're back to, okay, that's done again. So it's like a wave, like a rocking chair, right? We're gonna step away, and then we're gonna come into it. And that's just how that's gonna work. When we have our new moon, so these are introspection times. These are planting the seeds of manifestations. It's a lower energy. It's more of an emotional reset, those new moons. I love new moons because you just get to be happy, joy, smile, laughter, honor, obeyed, get these things moving, go in our flow, moving forward. Yes, the answers are always yes. Let's go, let's move it. And that opens that door. And then you have something called, then that next following week is the waxing moon. This is where what we just got done doing, now we have the growth, now we have the motivation, and we're building the momentum up. Why? Because we know that full moon's coming. So we got to go from this passive dark side of the moon into the bright side of the moon. And when we have the bright side of the moon, woo! So we need that time. We need that week of, okay, here we come. This is what we want. This is what we're manifesting. This is what our joy is. This is what our happiness is. Yep, here we come. Full moon. Heightened awareness, heightened emotion, heightened clarity, heightened releases, and sometimes very vulnerable to restlessness. Why? Because if we get a hiccup or we get a boulder or we get a block within that energy field, which causes an immersion of either a PTSD or a depression or an anxiety or a fear that has not been healed within our inner cycles, right? And our rhythms, here it comes. And you're like, wait, MJ, that's not what I just got done wanting. I know. But we gotta solve this in order for us to climb, right? It's kind of like crossing a creek. You look for the most shallow space so you don't get your shoes all wet, right? And you hope there's rocks in place where you can do a hopscotch across. Or you look at that mountain going, whoa, that's a really tall mountain, right? How are you going to get through it? Yeah, you can put in a tunnel, you can go around it. Or maybe you just go, you know what? I don't want this learning lesson ever again. And I'm just going to face that boulder, that mountain, that whatever. And I'm going to climb up. I'm going to conquer it. And I'm going to come right back down. Yes, it might take me a full moon cycle, but guess what? That's where I'm leading to do, right? The easier ways out makes it a pattern of rhythmics. So be careful out there. Okay. Face it head on. Hello. I've been waiting for you. And it's easier said than done. And I'm well aware of that. But that's basically what happens there. And then from that full moon to the apex, right, of whatever is going on, you come back into the waning moon or the waning moon. And that is, I'm just going to let go. Let go, let God, let love, right? I'm just letting go. I'm just going to reflect on all of this. I'm going to complete it. I'm going to pat. And this is where people get sometimes stuck, right? Between that full and that waning moon. This is where most of this erupts, right? And some energists or some people who feel that electromagnetic pull, sometimes it could be, up to 3 days prior to that full moon even being at its apex. Yeah, they already feel and they already know what's coming, right? And they're bracing themselves. So I think of the moon like a cosmic mirror. That's the best thing I can say. It doesn't really, it generates the light, but it reflects the sun's energy towards you. Likewise, it reflects emotion. And those emotions that rise to the surface so that they can be felt, healed, released, loved, let go, let God, let love. That's what it is. So they play a major part in our dispositions. They play a major part in our functionality of our human kindness and our humanness that we go through. Yeah, I know. Woo, these rhythms. I mean, there was a lot going on. Now you have the moon cycle. So it all plays out. It always does. We always say it always works out in the end. It's always going to work itself out, whether it's a lesson of life, whether it's a healing of life, or whether it's a release of life. You can't be 100% unless you heal, whether it's an emotional pain, a physical pain, a sociological pain, a spiritual pain, an anguish around the 12 petals of the heart. These all play the aspects of these rhythms of the moon and these rhythms of the Arcadians. Don't take my word for it. Take your own journal. Journal the 29.5 days. Find out where your emotions are, what's going on, what's happening, what provoked it, what poked the bear. Don't play the victim either. You got to take your part. because these are all your life lessons. And this is where this whole thing is. Why, moon? Why? Because the moon is part of helping and assisting you like a teacher, like a guardian. We just have to know how it works in order for us to put it into fruition. Does that make sense? Okay. Woo! Okay, so now we're going to move on to the astrological connection that the moon plays, right? So how many times do you hear, oh, it's the Sturgeon's full moon in Aquarius, or it's the Scorpion new moon in, right? So these are the constellations of energy. Yep. If anybody is into birth charting, anybody who's in astrology, and they want to see when they were born, what was in the sky, what was the energy that you were born. Why? Because that infiltrates you. I'm going to say it again. The moon that you were born in, the time of the day, plays a major part of your emotional and your physiological way in life. It does. How? I don't know. I'm not God. I didn't create it. But it plays a major part of that dynamic, right? Go back to personal matrix. What dynamic of the energy with your personal matrix? That was episode 40. Where is the personal matrix? What are you on? When you find your personal matrix, then go back and look at your astrology, your birth chart, going, well, it's no wonder I have this personality. And then you can go, whoa, who would have thought? You can't make that shit up. You just can't. It's just there. And it's there for us as mere human, right? The human experience of the spiritualness of us can arrive into a more acknowledgement into balancing their own life. So in astrology, the moon governs our inner worlds, our emotions, our instincts, our memories. Its sign and phases in the sky can amplify collective moods, just like weather shifts can create our moods. In astrology, it's generally believed that our moon's energies are amplified for experiences that can be more intense by individuals born under certain moon signs, astrological signs, and particularly water signs like Cancers, Scorpio, Pisces are those strong placements. And these signs in the birth chart, they're water signs. So you happen to hear the elements, earth, wind, fire, water. So then you get subdivisions. So people then, put the zodiacs into these elements. So what they're finding is that the Cancer, Scorpio, if you're zodiac, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, these strong water signs all reflect around this type of energy. What I want you to do, if you are one of those, Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, I want you to keep a journal. How fun will that be? Keep a journal and look at where your thoughts either heightened, if you are more loving, if you are more passive, what time of the moon. Just keep it. Where is your height? Where is your height of that? Excuse me, I got to shut this window. It sounds like they are sawing out there. So all of these just are great as placements in order to find where we're reigning. The Cancer moons, these individuals with the moon in Cancer are thought to have heightened emotional sensitivities and intuition because Cancer is ruled by the moon itself. So Cancer people, you June, July kind of babies, you Cancers, you guys, you're little crabbies, right? You intuitively know. One of my mother's, she's a Cancer. Well, she's on the cusp, but my friend Becca, who I had on here, these are the crabbies, right? The little crab Cancers. They're highly intuitive, highly. Try to even say something as a false ego to them, and they'll be like, that's a lie. They'll put you right out because they're ruled by the moon, and the moon controls emotion, and the moon controls how we react. They might even feel the effects of lunar phases more accurately than others. Check it out. Check out those beautiful Cancers. They will be all about the moon. They'll take pictures of the moon, even if they're not spiritual. You watch. They'll be like, oh, did you see the moon? oh my God, how beautiful the moon. And they're unconsciously doing it. And that's the best part of that, because they're unconsciously fascinated with the moon. And then you have the other water signs. There are individual moon placements in Scorpio and Pisces that are also believed to be more attuned to the lunar influences due to their inherently sensitivity and their intuitive natures. So if you are those, again, journal, and you'll see your heightened circadian flow. And I just love it. As far as full moon effects, the full moon in particular is considered a time of heightened emotions, revelations, and cultivating the energies that it's giving us in order and according to the times of India. This might be the most felt time strongly by those water sign placements about everybody in general. So if you're feeling like, no, MJ, I do feel different in the full moon, and you're not a water sign, then your circadian rhythm is so attached to day, night, and to sun moon time frames, and you get the best energetic pull when you are completely aligned. That's when you are at the peak of your awareness. So use that peak of awareness to be ingenious and get your creativities flowing and get what you need out there, because then as you come off of that, you come back into a settling, and that's a really good thing. So, but it's always important to remember that astrology is a system of belief that individuals experience with lunar energies, and they can vary person to person. They can even vary throughout nature as well. If a tree is sick or an animal is sick, it plays a major part of how they're going to react at the time. The moon's transits are really relatively short-lived compared to the slower moving planets. So as far as their individual impact to us, wait 1 second. Yes. So Crimea River, who just posted, yes, that is correct. So they're asking, is that why people are so angry on the full moon? Yes, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be mad or miserable. It all depends on where they have healed their inner traumas, their inner child, their learned life lessons, why they're here. But if you can handle it, if you give me a second, we're gonna at the very end, I'm gonna show you how to combat some of these energies as well. Yes, so that's a good question. Okay, where was it? Yeah, okay. So it's a general observation, but we all are different, like our thumbprint, right? Our fingerprints and our thumbprints. We are all in definite ornate, and we are definitely nobody like us, not even a twin is exactly like us. And for that matter, it is important to follow your rhythms. I always, when I practice and I do healing sessions, or I'm here trying to help people understand how the energies flow around us, I always let them tell me, bring a book, 3 months, take it 3 months. And I want you, and on it, I want you to write down the moon phases. I want to see the Arcadians, right? I want to see your circadian rhythms and your circumlunars. I want to see what you're doing at these peak times. And so when you keep a journal and you have, what was the thought of the day? How many people do the thought of the day? Do you wake up implying last week, I tell you every morning how I stick into what it is that I want, right? I am projecting what it is, how I feel when I go forward. And this one is the same type of thing. How is this emotional? What is in the blocks? What is coming to me? What is this energy bringing my way? Have I already learned it? That's the other thing. If you've already learned that form of energy, because sometimes the energy is repetitive in nature. So you might get the same energy that was 5 years ago, and you're like, oh, I've already learned this. So it's easy peasy lemon squeezy for you. And you can just enjoy the galacticness of the beauty of the sun and the stars and the Milky Ways and everything looking up, right? We can understand all of that. But ultimately understanding your individual moon sign And its placement within your birth chart can offer more tailored insights into how you're personally experiencing and connecting with your lunar energies, right? People who do astrology, this is what they're doing. They're putting these around to help you guide your birth charts, right? This is, why the people come up with, oh, if you're born in this, then this would not be a good energy to, date or be married to. Did you ever see this? Right? That's on you, how you feel, how you do it. But it's evident that when that relationship separates and you look at your birth charts and you look at the energy fields of those specific people, you're like, well, it's no wonder it this energy, and especially if they're not healed, right? Because normally a healed person can adapt. They can really adapt to anything because they are taught to be poised. They're taught to process, pull back, step away. We don't live in FOMO. You step away. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, whether I'm here or not. So there's no FOMO. We just pull back. Okay, that's where they exist and how we can personally attach or to look at. Okay, before we get into energetic sensitivities, I got to take another break. So let's play Papa Crow again. What About Us? This is his new song. So if you really liked Into the Light and you liked how you can jam with Crow, this is Papa Crow's next one, and this is called What About Us? So enjoy it. You're listening to MJ here on mbradio.us, where veterans have a voice, and Crow is a veteran, and he served with H-Train. This is how we got to know Crow and his beautiful voice. Take a listen. We'll be right back.
I pledge my allegiance to her, from sea to shining sea. She held her torch to the sky to give the world liberty. What about us? What about we? What about living the American dream? What about love? In God we trust. These are the things they want us all to believe. What about us? What about we, the people? What about us? What about we, the people? The people walk through the streets, holding up protest signs. Try not to repeat our history. Maybe no one will have to die. What about us? What about we? What about living the American dream? And what about hope? Trust God and let go. These are the phrases they want us to believe. What about us? What about we, the people? What about us? What about we, the people? And right now we need a hero, someone who will stand and fight for us. A leader, someone we all know, to wear the shield of America. Oh, what about we,
the station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at nbradio.com.
So we're back. That was Papa Crow's newest one, What About Us? I love listening. I can't wait to have him on because we're going to talk about that video. It has a little bit of controversy, but we're going to talk about that at some point. Somehow I'm going to get him on here. Okay, so we're going to finish up here. This is the very last one. And this is the one where it's energetic sensitivities. So yes, empaths, healers, and spiritually attuned people, priests, reverends, pastors, often feel lunar cycles more strongly. Hence, I told you about the baptisms or the waters inside the church, right? These can make emotions swing or deepen powerful lunar events, eclipses, super moons. Think about them. If we have a lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse, or we have super moons, or we have all the planets lining up, it's coming. Did you just look up? They're coming, all your planets. So these beautiful people who identify as energetic sensitive people or high sensitive people, HSPs, you might hear the phrase HSP, high sensitive people, often report feeling stronger connections to and influence from the moon's phases, particularly during the full moon. I mean, most of these other moons, because it makes you more breathe easier, be more passive, be more forethought, know what was going on. But the full moon really, why there's not so much scientific evidence readily available for HSPs, except for brainwave activity and electromagnetic therapy or electromagnetics of the body. They have proven that, but they can't understand the higher sensitive people who are on a higher intuitive level or higher emotional levels. Like they understand the influx, but to that HSP, that hasn't really been there. But the science that they do have, evidence directly linking to the moon's gravitational pull to the human behavior and emotional, remains inconclusive. However, they are seeing these influx. There are several hypotheses, both scientific and anecdotally, that try to explain how this is perceived with the connections for those who are that energetically sensitive, those HSPs. Subtle energy shifts and sensitivity. Proponents suggest that moon's gravitational and energetic shifts throughout its phases similar to its effect on the emotional tides, such as our ocean tides, might influence the water within our bodies, which if you look at the brain has a lot of fluids going on within it, with all the elements that it needs. So, which it makes up a significant portion of the physical form of our body being 70% water. Water consciousness is a big thing. Look it up, water consciousness, huge thing. I saw a video from somebody who is, I want to say over in Thailand, like Thailand area, and they were fishing. And all of a sudden they saw these little bubbles out of the water, right? At first I was like, oh, it's probably a whale under there. Or it's probably, some type of mammal with no. They correlated those bubbles were releasing methane gas. As those were doing that, the rest of the world's volcanoes were going off. Interesting. Very interesting. So they correlated those bubbles to that. Then they realized what was happening to the platonics, right? The plates of the earth and how the continental shelves are expanding, how they did in the ice ages, how they did in the, in the flooding ages. They move, the continental plates move, the earthquakes, the volcanoes, they create these new boundaries, hence Pompeii, hence Egypt, hence, some of our mountain ranges here in the United States, right? These plates all create. Brand new islands just form, right? Because of volcanoes. So this is what this is talking about. It is a significant portion of the physical form. Heightened sensitive individuals, including these empaths, are believed to be more in tune with these subtle shifts. I want to explain something. Empaths is a form of vibration that makes it so that you emotionally feel that pain. You can stop that by giving yourself a higher vibration as an empath and then becoming a clairsensitive person. That way, you're actually aware of the event or the trauma or the energies, but you don't yourself have to feel them. That's what's really horrible about empaths, because they take on that energy. They become very ill. Most of them have IBS. Most of them have backaches. They have chest aches. They have aches all over their body. They don't feel good. So when people say, oh, I'm an empath, and they're so happy, I'm like, oh, get through whatever you have to get through and move yourself out of that sensitivity range, because you want to get into clairsentient, not empathicness, because clairsentient is the angels. Clairs means the angels are divine gifts, right? Clair means if you are that highly sensitive person, why would you want to feel the emotion physically? No, I wouldn't. I don't. Like, I had to let go of that. And I think you should too. Should. MJ. However, I think it may be a good idea. Maybe you want to try that. Anyway, so we go down to the highly sensitive people, including empaths, are believed to have more attuned to these subtle shifts and may experience them as emotional or energetic changes. Heightened nervous system reactivities. Okay, anybody who has central or neurological, your central nervous system and your nerves during full moons are activated. There's no questions about it. You feel achier. You feel that. You feel those electric pulses anytime that you have a nervous system reactive that isn't working appropriately. Okay. HSPs are often more reactive into the nervous system, constantly scanning for safety or information about the environment, according to the endodiatherapy centers. Okay. Endodiatherapy centers are stating that the reactions of these HSPs, especially with central nervous system issues or having neurological symptoms, is very, very probable. Again, journal for 3 months. You know, it takes 3 months to get it all right. You're right. Because you got to figure a pattern out. You can't just do 2, because if it's this and this, but what happens on a third one? Is it consistent? So that's why we always say take the 3 months and you'll figure this out. Lunar phases are often thought to create subtle shifts in the atmospheric pressure as well. So light levels and electromagnetic fields, which is sensitive to our nervous system, may register and pause easier. So people who are doing frequencies, right? When you do frequencies, sometimes if you're doing frequencies over a full moon, it is heightened. So whoever your healer is, make sure they turn the dwell down, right? Unless you extremely need it, because sometimes it is multiplying that frequency level more than the human isn't aware of. I'm going to say it like that, right? Then you have collective emotional absorption. That suggests that during certain moon phases, like the full moon, collective emotions in this environment become more intense and accessible, right? So people tend to get on the bandwagon, right? As a collective, right? You're emotional about this, and this one's like, oh my God, yeah. And it opens up and it triggers all these other people to compound the small little issue that you stated. So be careful how you speak, because if you're collectively, what's that mean? You're bringing it all in, right? As an empath and energetically sensitive individual, you might not only experience your own heightened emotions, but now you're, like I just said, you're bringing all these in, because being that empath, you are basically calling those emotions or that energy in. Ancestral or cultural memory. Historically, human societies live in closer alignments to lunar cycles, timing activities like planting, harvesting, Farmer's Almanac. Wow, Farmer's Almanac. They go by the moon cycles. And spiritual practices, moon cycles. Look at how Christ was donated from the North Star to the this, and the more that comes around, the researchers are like, well, I don't know why you put it in December 25th, because that's not even the moon. That's not even the, and now they're dissecting what was written by man of the birth of Jesus Christ, of the Messiah, to the actual day of the year that they're handling that activity, right? Why did you choose that? Or was it information? We got more information as the archaeological digs, or we got more information as the studies of our scholars kept coming. And now we can say, human error. Now we already know. Human error. I love that. Right? Man again, man who directs and man who states and man who makes our decisions for us, that we become a product of. Okay. In theorizing, the ancestral memory in connection to lunar rhythms might be embedded, right? Man-conditioned patterns are beings influencing our unconscious responses. How many times have you said something and you're getting older, you're getting into your 30s, 40s, 50s, and you're like, oh my God, I sound like my mother. Oh my God, that was my dad. Oh my gosh. The awareness, right? You become that awareness of like, whoa, that's not really how I feel, but it was a conditioned pattern that was easy for our ego and our judgment to go blip, because that's where the ego and judgments are made, out of these theorized ancestral memory patterns that were brought to us. So if our ancestors believed in the moons, well, you're going to believe in the moons and you're going to function around the moons and the Arcadian rhythms, because your ancestral line has conditioned it. Potential impact on sleep. Yes, researchers indicate that many people may get less sleep during the full moon, potentially affecting mood and energy levels. Why? We just talked about it, because your circadian rhythm is accustomed to, when it's dark, you sleep. When it's light, you awake. So that makes sense, right? Back into our HSPs. Well, that makes sense if we're conditioning the body by the circadian rhythms, right? Right. Prior to modern lighting, the full moon was the major source of nighttime light. Have you ever seen the house that has moonlight fixtures right out of the ceiling in the bathroom? They'll have this huge mirror-like metal tube that goes up, and it looks like the brightest day inside of that bathroom. It's another way to conserve energy and using the moon's energy to give you light. You can't believe how light those bathrooms are. Most of those are native cultures or different countries. When you travel, you get to see those. There's some people who do have them in the United States, but they're really cool. If you actually want one in your house, look them up. Look up the moonlight tubes that you can use in your bathrooms or other states of being. And that way, during the waxing, waning, and full moon, you have beautiful light, but you have to have the alternative source during the new moon process or when it's peaking, right? The slivers. It is the increased light exposures meant to have impacts in your sleep patterns, which then could affect your behavior. In essence, basically, while the scientific consensus on a direct measurable influence of the moon's gravitational pull on individuals' human emotions and behavior remains limited, those who identify it as energetically sensitive often report experiencing a perceived connection, potentially due to heightened awareness of subtle environmental changes, emotional sensitivities, and perhaps a deeper, almost ancestral connection with moon's rhythm. If it's not in your ancestry, start it, right? You are the only one who can stop an ancestral pattern or begin it. You have that much beautiful man power. So if you want something that's contributing, then we do it, right? It's an area where anecdotal reports and personal experiences frequently outweigh direct scientific proof. The only thing that we can claim scientifically is our circadian, adranian, and surlunar. We can prove that. We can prove the heightened awareness in highly sensitive people because of electrodes. We can prove tides with gravity and electromagnetic fields. We can prove solar flaring. We can prove energies of the ancestrals. These are things that we can prove, hence the way it says there's just not enough for the HSP to say that this controls this or this. It's more man controlling that. So think of the moon like a cosmic mirror, right? It doesn't generate light, but it reflects the sun's energy to give you light, just like that tube, that bathroom moonlight tube, right? Likewise, it reflects the inner lights and shadow work that's making our emotions rise to the surface so that they can be felt, healed, released, loved, and let go. That's the bottom line. So I'm going to take a quick break, another quick song, and then I'm going to finish and how we're going to do some really powerful ways that we can direct the show, right? Because we can absolutely work with the moon cycles as puny humans, as they would say in the Big Bang Show, instead of feeling overwhelmed by them. Think of it like an energetic weather disturbance. If you know the storm is covering, you grab an umbrella or raincoat, or you fix up your property for the weather. The moon is that same way. It stirs up these inner tides within us, so the little preparation and rituals can help protect your emotions in some other powerful way. We're going to go to this when we get back. And we're going to take another quick break here. And I'm going to play Die Tired Play. Play that mountain music, Die Tired. No, I'm only kidding. Play that music. So we're going to listen to Die Tired with Play.
We can fly across the ocean with our arms spread open wide. Follow me as far as you can, baby. You and me got nothing left to hide. All we hear.
the station where our veterans' voices are heard, MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Quack.
Program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
The web at nbradio.com.
Okay, we're back. That was Die Tired with Play. And he's another fan favorite. And thank you so much for allowing us in our library to play that music for you and get your voice out there. Go to Spotify and get him on there. Okay, we're going to wrap this up. So people go, but how do you protect yourself? Or how do you balance? Or how do you do this? So if you follow my other stuff, either at Earth, Wind, Fire Shop or Mojazi Center, during the moons, I have a ritual practice on these moons, and I'm always offering either a manifestation or I'm offering a release, which no longer serves my purpose. So on the new moon, this is your beginnings. This is your reset. Protective intention settings. Write down what energies that you do not want to carry, right? So write these energies that you don't want anymore on the new moon. Your fears, your stress, your toxic connections. Burn and bury the paper. And then grounding ritual is place your feet on the bare earth. Get your feet grounded into earth for a few minutes, visualizing the roots growing into the ground. This stabilizes emotional energy before their new beginnings. Why? Because new beginnings are your manifestation periods. So you're going to say, I know this is blocking me and I want this to manifest, and this is how we do it. Then you go to the waxing moon, which follows the new moon. The waxing moon, this is growth, expansion, shield visualization. Imagine like those big glowing bubble of light that is just surrounding you and only allows in love. It only allows love in, but it keeps heavy energy out. So if you have this bubble of love, it strengthens its by daily, and that as the moon grows into its next full moon position. Crystals. Okay, here's where people go, crystals don't work. Crystals all have a frequency, I hate to tell you. So whoever says that crystals don't work for anything, it is already proven through Einstein, Tesla, and Rife that all these things have a frequency modulation. They have a number, a Hertz number, where they vibrate. These are vibrations. Why do you think our Earth is full of these beautiful crystals? Quartzes, right? Calcites, pyrites, metals, elements of the earth is full of them. You go into caves and there's stalactites of limestones and mookites and different, labradorites, moonstones, diamonds, herkimers. Like there's just so many. And it balances us. Why? Because those organic stones of how they grow create a frequency. That's why they say ground in, put your feet in that earth, bare earth, get rid of the rubber, get rid of the concrete, get into dirt or grass, get down in. Why? Because that's what we're missing. We're no longer playing in our bare feet in the backyards and drinking out of hoses, right? Or running up and down in creeks. Our societies have gotten polluted with the electric screens. So we got to get in there. We got to get nailed down, and we got to make sure that they happen. So as far as our crystal athletes, carry protective stones like black tourmaline or black obsidian or black agate if you need the protection to shield yourself away from emotional overwhelming. Sometimes those stones won't work for the body type of frequency you are in. So source a gemstone person and ask them, I need a protective stone for my energy. All right. Mine happens to be an Apache tear. That's my emotional block energy. So you'll constantly see in my pocket, or I wear Apache tear because that helps me. So you can do your crystal allies with your waxing moons. And then that way you now have that expansion with protection. Now we go to the full moon, which is the emotional highs of highs and the lows of lows. This is the high tide of the release. So it's a lot of spiritualists or a lot of people like taking baths over those 3 days, the day before, the day on, the day after. They will bathe. It's a ritual bathing. They're in the water, they're in the lakes, they're in their pools, they're somewhere, they're bathing. It is a natural resource to want to douse the body like a baptism. You douse the body within water. Why? Because when you do that, it's cleansing. You're releasing whatever is no longer wanted of energy. You add salt water, lavender, or rosemary to the water if it's in a tub or it's in your hot tub or whatever. As you soak and rinse, imagine the emotional heaviness just evaporating, leaving your body like dark clouds dissolving. You watch it, you feel more relaxed. I even tell people, go one step further. Buy a quart of almond milk. Pour in almond milk, right? Rose is one of your best, not just rosemary, lavender, and sea salt. However, use those, but add in rose oil, because natural rose oil is the epitome of unconditional love. It's 528 frequencies no matter what. You don't believe me? Buy rose water. When your kids are acting up or there's an argument, spray it in the air. It's like the miracle shut up spray. Do it. I promise you'll be like, what the heck? Frequency modulation is reacting to the electromagnetics of the body by frequency. I understand people go, oh, talk to it, but it's not. I'm telling you, figure it out. Anyway, so that's why they do that. Cord cutting on new moons. A lot of people do cord cutting. Cord cutting is certain people or situations draining you. You visualize cutting the energetic cord that's tying them to you. Eventually, as you continuously do it, this person just subsides completely out of your life, or you learn to balance. Cord cutting can also be protecting from others' emotions mixing with yours, such as ancestral lines. You don't like nasty sarcasm or anger or resentment in your family, or gossiping in your family, or talking about in-laws in your family. Cut the cord. It's a natural phenomenon to cut those cords. You can do it. If you don't know how to do it, then ask somebody. Write to us. You can write to TWOCPT at mbradio.us. I'll answer. I promise. I always do. I'll answer you guys. Anything like that. Limit stimulation. Full moons can amplify drama. The first drama that comes to everybody's head is probably the Leo energy, the August Leo energy. It's drama. Why? Think of how things start. It's almost the fiscal year in October, so people start getting antsy for businesses. School people, they're starting to go back into school. Teachers, right? Administrators. So your holiday time of weather pattern is almost over. Your festivals and things are almost done. We're going into harvest. So these create, the protective side of the energies of our body that are like, I'm going to be hibernating. It's winter. Or you're going to say, oh, it's winter and you're in the South. Now you can go out from your other. It creates that month of August always creates this type of stimulation. So do yourself a favor, protect yourself by keeping your environment calm, turn down social media, turn off the damn news, give yourself a break, right? Get rid of the social noise, stop going through all your feeds, stop going through the news feeds, go to the people you care about the most, see what they're doing, see if they need help or prayer, and then come off of it. Spend time at Quan. That's the best thing I can tell you on a full moon. Stay away from those things that are going to heighten the awareness to make you angry, resentful, or one of the negative acerbations that our emotional traumas can have. As far as the waning moon, waning is you finally are able to release, you are finally able to reflect that completion. So on the waning moons, basically journal. Journaling is going to be your friend because it will show you patterns. It will show you consistency. It will show you healing. When you journal things, you can go, my God, I healed this. I finally healed it. Looking at the circadian rhythms and looking at the moon cycles. Yes, you did it. See, you just did it. You can compile all these into your journal, write them down with your emotional triggers or your recurring thought patterns that want to trigger that negative side of emotion, PTSD, pain, TBIs, any type of ailment. Write them down. What's triggering? We're in a waiting phase. This is our reflections of letting go, but we're still in it. So we need to write this down so we know where to do the work. As moon wanes, consciously let these things go. Okay, it comes up. I love you, but I no longer need to have that pain. I no longer have that anger or that resentment because I was watching the damn news and that irritated me. If that irritated you, it's on you. Anything that makes you angry is on you. The minute you want to play a victim or a martyr, you want to start getting your troops to say, you see what that did to me? That is where you're wrong. People on social media, when they have a hiccup with somebody and they stick it online, we are all accountable for it. Whether we do it on social media, whether we do it in our family, whether we do it on a text, whether we do it, say it on a phone, we are all man-made of that issue and that awareness. So for those journal releasing, you write them down as the moon's wane, smudging, energetic releasings. This, you can use sage, you can use palo, you can use rosemary, you can use sound bowls. Sound therapy can release all of that clearing, creates a buffer of those old energies that they don't cling. Woo, that was long. I didn't think I was going to have 2 hours, but it really is a 2 hour to talk about how the moon and why it plays the way it does. So the moon doesn't have to push you around. I just showed you on every phase how you push that moon around and how you can protect your energy and your emotional thought plans. You can align with its rhythms and you can protect your inner water's desires to what it is that you want most. And that is the bottom line of this moon game. I hope you learned something. If you have questions, reach out. It's down there on the bottom, twocpt@mbradio.us. You can always DM me or DM the station and they'll get with me. But we are here. We are here to heal and we are here to help. So hopefully you can use some of this in order to organically put your thoughts in process and pull them right back. I gotta go. I'll see you next Monday. And right here, same time, same bat channel, our duck channel, same duck channel, mbradio.us. I am MJ with the world of conscious positive thinking. It has been a dream and a blessing to hopefully and prayfully have faith that what I'm telling you, if you use some of these tactics, can help you to engage in a better, more peaceful environment, especially when our circadian rhythms are intact. Many blessings. See you tonight, 7 o'clock, Beyond the Headlines.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.